Introverts are the hearts of this world. You should be cherishing them instead of tarnishing them. And if you're looking down on them, then you've got a problem. Hey, welcome to MBTI with BT. So, introvert. It's a term we mostly associate with intriguing, mysterious, and sometimes charming. But some of the people are also associating it with loneliness, sadness, acting slow, not able to socialize, and a lot more things. Which one is true though? Do you know that introverts have some secrets? To be honest, nowadays I'm so much disappointed on people because they expect everyone to act the same. Many of them are like, the energy we are giving to someone, we are expecting the same kind of energy back from the other person, which is not possible. And this leads to a lot of miscommunications, hence a lot of relationship problems and many more things. So in the early childhood, we see that most of the introverts are mostly silent. They want to be by themselves. And in the schools, they're mostly like invisible. They're not very much interested in participating in group activities. And then as a grown-up, we see that if they're very smart, then most people want to keep distance from them. And even they act like they want that distance to be permanent. And the ones who don't come out to be as smart as them, people often look down on them. They're like, these individuals are not so special. But we all are always missing out on the hidden qualities of them. A very mature introverted type will be very well socialized, but even then they can fail at expressing some thoughts or perception, so those things would come out as their shortcomings. But some qualities in them are always there that keep them forward without you even realizing it. How? Let's see. Anyways, so first talk about the generalized secrets. This is for the ones who don't know about MBTI. They just come into my channel and they have no idea what I'm talking about. They just have an overall idea about what an introvert and extrovert is like. You know what are the generalized ideas, don't you? That's why I'll first discuss some points that doesn't take typology into account. These will be the traits of the introverts that we mostly hear on the internet, and I will try to explain what is the secret behind them. Not getting the idea, do you? So number one is that introverts have rich imagination. They have a rich inner world, very personal to them. It has a certain depth and complexity. You have definitely heard of this one, haven't you? Do you know why? So whenever I talk about introverts, I say one word, subjective. All the introverted functions are subjective. That's why introverts are introverts. What it clearly means is that introverts are always focusing on their inner world. That is the person himself or herself. Dominantly, they are not looking at the outer world like the extroverts. And as you know that here, everything is unique. For example, let's take this. I can see that the color is pink. Why can I see it? Because my brain tells me so. So I can give it to a person who has got color blindness. They won't see it as pink. They'll probably see it green or something. So I think this was a good example. So this example was for making you understand that the color is constant, but it is your inner wiring that changes perception. Similarly, you can think of examples regarding judgment as well. Remember, it was a simple example just to give you an idea. Construction of a subjective inner world for any individual with dominant introverted function is much more complicated. It's like those doodles you make absent-mindedly. So whether an introvert is perceiving or judging, whichever the dominant function is, that focuses on the subject, that wants to know from the subject itself, that is not looking outwards, means that they're trying to be one with themselves, and that's why the rich imagination or the rich inner world is born. The second trait is that introverts are hard to open up and they seek meaningful connections. This is because opening up means you are trying to build a relationship with another person. When they are interacting with you, when they are trying to build a relationship, when they are deciding that whether they should consider you as a part of their life or not, they are actually trying to search their dominant function in you. That whether it is present in you in some way or not. So by the time passes, as you are getting familiar to their inner process, they will be accepting you and eventually open up to you. Third one is that introverts are very good listeners. They're very good at giving you advices. This happens because whenever they're listening to you, they're actually trying to fit whatever you're saying to their own inner pattern. And if they're giving you an advice, then that is completely based on their inner reflection. Fourth one is that introverts find strength in solitude. You might have heard this, that introverts work better when they're alone and they don't quite enjoy working in groups. So it's like they can't work great if you force your decisions or perceptions on them. The reason again is that they're always looking for the solution towards the subject, that is themselves, or they're trying to go through it step by step with their subjective analysis. Okay, so I could have made this video more fashionable, like not holding this mic like this, like I normally do, clip it onto my, dress or collar or whatever you want to call it. So I could have done that, but the reason I did not do this is because the weather is not very fashionable here. The weather is hellish in here, so it's like 44 degrees centigrade, and Google shows that it feels like 52 or 53 degrees centigrade even. So that's why I couldn't just do the fashion. Also, I'm an INFP, so I think you didn't hear that. I'm glad that you didn't. And the fifth one is that they seek isolation from time to time. This is probably the most commonly heard thing, that introverts need space. Why? Social energy means objects. Maybe somebody's birthday came up and you got excited, so it's an objective thing. You are in a party, many people are dancing in there, enjoying, drinking wine, drinking beer. You get excited from the sight or even from the imagination of the sight, then that is all subjective. All these things extroverts get energy from are objective. Introverts, they need the exact opposite of this. Energy to them means the subjective thought that is focusing on themselves more. Okay, now I think you know what I mean. Alright, now as we're diving deeper, let's take typology into account. So we know there are 4 introverted types: the introverted feeling types, INFP and ISFP, the introverted thinking types, ISTP and INTP, the introverted sensing types, ISTJ and ISFJ, and finally the introverted intuitive types, INTJ and INFJ. So at first, INFP and ISFP. These types are the introverted feelers. Well, most people think that they are very expressive of their feelings. They are always crying. They are always emotionally vulnerable. No, that's exact opposite of that. They are the least expressive of their feelings. These are the types who look very simple and normal on the outside. On the surface, when you're meeting them for the first time, or maybe you have no interest in knowing them, then you will see nothing special. Publicly, they act and talk very much based on what society thinks is normal. But when you think that you are knowing them for a long time, like 1 year or so, they probably know you longer than that. Like 4 or 5 years. This is because all the time you opened just their first layer, but they have done the digging 4 or 5 layers deep. But the plus point of this is that they can make you feel or value things in a whole different way that you never even imagined to exist. They are actually able to make you cry. So the next is TI types. So these are the very logical types. I think the most logical types. These guys will give away a special vibe of themselves because they know that they're smart in a very different way. But they don't brag about it. They have a high potential to come up with something new. If they care enough about you, they will help you make more logical decisions. They will make you think in a whole different logical way. So for example, I have an ISTP friend who helped me out in a problem that I didn't even know was a problem for a really long time. I can't mention you the problem because it's personal, but it's like something that I didn't know for a long time. Something was going on behind my back and he put it up, and he actually told me to care about that problem and actually account it as a problem, because otherwise I'm just missing out on a whole logical point of view. I think you get it a bit. Now let's talk about ISFJ and ISTJ. I have seen that these are the most organized types, and they have a very soothing presence. Something about them looks very much at place, very much in order. It's like I really like it, man, because it's like exactly my opposite. So the special thing about them, or the secret, is that they take care of you indirectly. So in your life there might be the stuffs which you don't organize, which you forget to organize. So they will actually remind you to do those things. Not exactly remind you to do those things, but it's something. It's like being with them actually makes you realize the importance of organization in your life. Final showstoppers, the INFJ and the INTJs. So these are the types to see things in their most unique ways. You have probably heard that INFJ and INTJ, they are very well planners. They can predict things very well. This is because they actually recognize the patterns of the outside world through their inside world. So this is a very unique kind of vision they got. So I have seen INFJs and INTJs in my life who engages with their inner vision activities like music or maybe movies or maybe sports. So they actually engage in their activity, but they're still able to plan things so well that they are even succeeding in the areas that are not very interesting to them. For an example, that in a school you have like 7 subjects and an INTJ or INFJ doesn't like maths, but they'll still strategically plan something, like they come up with some common patterns in the formulas, the previous year question paper solving, recognizing some patterns that actually vibe with their inner vision, and they will pass the subject. I mean, this is magical. So what I actually mean to say is that they have less random vision based on the patterns, intuition. So from all these things, you may actually realize that you don't know them very well. And they know you better from certain point of views. So next time you meet an introvert, beware of their inner vision. And if you are an extrovert, then also remember my info, because it will in future will come out to be handy and effective, because they're gonna affect you directly or indirectly, positively or negatively, based on what kind of relationship you have with them. If you are an introvert, you know what to do. Just cherish your qualities and improve the personality traits that you lack, knowing that I exposed you publicly. Well, not everything. I didn't say some things. Is that bad? I don't think so. Also, introversion and extroversion, they actually coexist. You are both. It's just one of the traits is dominant in you. In the next video, I will talk about the extrovert secrets. So stay tuned for that.